Hi, this is Natalie Callback, and I'm super excited to be here with my dear friend Jane LaFazio. We have met several years ago teaching together. She is a fabulous artist. She's an even more fabulous teacher. Actually, that's not true. It's both. It's both fabulous. But she does wonderful sketching. She also does wonderful art journals. She incorporates sketching into her art journaling. She also incorporates fabric into her art journaling and art. And it's just super delightful. She has a very wonderful color palette. She does a lot of sketching from nature. We will talk about that in a little bit. And Jane, as many of us, has been not always been an artist. She came to it also from other ways, so which is an interesting thing to always think about. There's like a ton of people for whom that is a second career. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jane is sitting in her living room in San Diego right now.
Actually, I'm sitting in my office in San Diego.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
Hi, welcome, Jane. How are you?
Hi, Natalie. It's so good to see you. It's so good to talk to you. You know, I was like, oh, good. I get to talk to Natalie again. Oh, it was a year ago. Oh my God. So good. I'm doing surprisingly well. So thank you.
So, Jane, is there anything you want to add to my introduction about you that you want to say, hey, guys, this is also what I do, and Natalie shamefully forgot to mention that?
No. No, you know, I've been, yes, I had a whole other career, but I've been doing this now for 22 years, yeah, full time, making a living as an artist. So, but before I was in marketing and graphic design, which all has been super helpful to be an artist. I know that that's one leg up you and I both have is being in a business world before this, so we know how to handle the business of being an artist, and that's huge.
Yeah,
really important.
Exactly. So, there's nothing worse than the starving artist like view that's how it should be. Like, doesn't work, doesn't bring you food in the fridge, unfortunately.
No, and if you're the best artist in the world and nobody sees it, that doesn't work either.
It's very sad. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah,
so Jane,
I feel lucky to have that.
You have an amazing Instagram feed. I always love to see when you put something up there. And there's a video. When you scroll around in her feed, you will find it, and you should. It's called the Teacup Galaxy. It's a mobile in your studio, and it's so much fun to look at it. What is the story behind this amazing object?
Well, they're paper mache teacups, duh. There's an artist off the East Coast, Ann Wood is her name, and she put out a pattern for these paper mache teacups. And I made some, like 2 of them, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. And then with this group of friends, we often do an art exchange. So it was my brilliant idea, let's all make paper mache teacups and send them to each other. So there's about 9 of us participating. So making 9 paper mache teacups is not as much fun as just making 2. But so they sent them in, and we were talking about different ways to display them. And so I hung my collection, and there's a number of them that are mine, and then my friends too, from monofilament wire in the ceiling of my studio. And it makes me happy every time I see it. It's yeah, so that's what it is. And it was I really enjoyed the project because I absolutely love paper mache, and it's not many times I can fit it into my daily life, you know what I mean? But I really enjoy it. So
that is so
that's
cool.
How it came to be. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the idea of them. I don't know. I'm a sucker for the mobiles.
Me too.
And actually, I just had an interview with Natalia Korova, former Akins. And she did these plastic birds, like from plastic bags and stuff that she hung into the trees. And so, both of you and her, I was like, oh my God, I love this.
Yeah, me too. And I love birds too. So I love that. Yeah, I know Natalia's work. And I think that's a brilliant idea.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, you live in a really urban setting, like we say, the city.
Yeah.
So doing that kind of public art it can really be seen, you know. But I live in a more residential, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll go out and hang a bird or a teacup from my tree and see what happens.
That would be so fun. They would be
Why
like,
not?
what is Crazy Jane doing now?
Really. And God forbid the CCNR people would come and say, that's not my luck.
That's so fun. I actually love when there's art, in places that you don't expect it. Or, I mean, that's why I love, of course, graffiti. And, well, most of the time nowadays, that's actually like asked for by the people that own the houses and have then people put the graffiti or mural on their wall. But I loved, we had some like children art that was actually printed on vinyl, and poems that someone put up on the park, and like the park entrance on the fences, and it was just so delightful to see
Wonderful.
that. And someone did a walk by gallery tour too, where the artist would put some of their work in the windows, and I thought it was fun, and it really
Great.
makes you appreciate your neighborhood and walk through the neighborhood and see it in a different way.
Well, and you said about the artwork and a poem. That poem would make you stop and
Yeah.
think and read and look, which is brilliant, especially if it's, in a public place. That's a brilliant combination. Yeah, very nice.
Well, there you go. You have to write a poem for your teacup that you're gonna hang outside.
Although, yeah, people can look through the window of my studio. We have an artist in San Diego, in residential neighborhood, not near mine, unfortunately, that's doing this incredible chalk art.
Huh.
Oh my God! And he's just doing it just because, and it's called. I'll share. I'll give you the link because he's on Instagram. It's something like Sidewalk Chalk Dad or something. But they're just great. I'll have to share that
That's
with
so
you and your
fun.
listeners. Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
What a great idea. I love that.
Yes. Yes.
It's always blows my mind how inspiring and what kind of like crazy cool ideas people can have. We have this guy here, just a short note. He's called Norm Kirby, and he actually started, which was called, he calls it the fence art, but it's basically just ribbon or ripped fabric and stripes, and then he makes like whatever. Either uplifting words or phrases like "you don't walk alone," or he makes
Yeah.
like little people that play basketball, or he somehow has this way to do that. And then he actually takes photos of it, and he takes photos of the shadows that they make too, which is pretty cool.
I love that.
So his, maybe the way why he started it was a different kind of thing, but it makes everyone happy to see these like hearts or faces. It's like super fun.
Yes, and you look forward to seeing them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
We need all that in our lives, don't we?
Well, back to you, Jane, because that's
Yes,
why
okay.
we're here today. So, you're drawing and painting a lot of flowers lately, and I love when I see you actually like posting, I just bought this bouquet, and then I see what you're doing with it, and you're sketching the plants or the flowers. What about this? I mean, of course, that's a stupid question in a way, like, why do you like flowers and plants? But what does really like grab you about, buying that or looking for it and painting it or drawing it?
Well, that's a really good question. One thing I was thinking about in relationship with you and what you do, you paint and draw often wonderful old historic buildings in your neighborhood. Well, I'm surrounded by red terracotta tile and Navajo white homes. But we have lots of, gardens and plants and stuff. So for one, I think it's a different environment. And I do often on my walks in my neighborhood, we'll pick some flowers or some plants and bring them home to my studio to draw. So, I mean, that's part of it. The other part of it is I've always been attracted to beauty, and flowers are certainly beautiful. I love nature and the organic quality of drawing things. Um, and so and I've kind of given into the fact that, hey, I really like to do this, so screw it. That's what I'm going to do. There's certainly years in your career where you go through, I need to learn to draw portraits, or I need to learn to draw cityscapes. And it's like, well, that would be nice. Yes, both of those would be really nice for me. But I really like to draw flowers, and I'd always draw from life, so that's another thing. And I just bring them into my studio, and that time spent in there has just been wonderful. So it's a combination of loving the colors and the structure, but also the kind of the peace and the escape and serenity it brings me.
That is beautiful, and I love you. You touched on something and said that you are not thinking about what I should do or like. Do you feel that's something that just comes with time where you're like, well, that's what I love, and there must be other people out there that love that too, and I think that's actually super true, right? People find you, and people want to do the same thing. Like, was that a long process?
Well, I remember when I was before the internet, because I am 110, when when we would do our artwork and we would take it to art fairs and we put it up in galleries and try to sell it that way. And I think every artist goes through that phase where, okay, what's selling? I'm going to paint what's selling. And then, or they have a really popular painting, and so they try to reproduce that in some way. Never sells. People never like it. Human instinct is to recognize sincerity, realism in what you're doing and your love for it. So that certainly has been part of my path. But recently it's just been, okay, I'm going to accept that these things give me joy and I enjoy doing them. And as you said, I'm doing it for myself. Of course, I'm thrilled when people, I love the positive feedback. I mean, there's no question. But I do it because I love it. And I also, because with the same subject, I did a whole journal on succulents. Mm. You push it. You push different ways of drawing, different backgrounds. So I'm not doing it the same way every time. Far from it. I'm trying different mediums, different backgrounds, different approaches, which I also, that's another thing I really like.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I mean, for me, it's the same thing that I have this love for urban, buildings. But if I look at the way how I painted that 10 years ago, is definitely different, throughout the years to now. And I always change it up. So, yeah. But the same subject has kept me, interested. So, yes. And as long as it does, I think that's cool. Maybe it changes, maybe it doesn't.
I agree. I listened last year before to an artist that was doing, he was actually firing holes in metal and then putting postage stamps in the holes for the color.
Wow.
It's really cool. And I mean, the process was like, what? But he said, you know what? I do a lot of trees, and screw it. I really like trees. Other people do trees, but I like trees, so I'm going to keep doing trees. And it was like, yes, give you permission to work in what you want to work in,
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting, and I think it is really important to kind of whether you want to be, whether you just want to create something for yourself, then by all means you should definitely do what brings you joy and not what you think you should do. And you're like, oh, I need to learn how to draw faces. Well, do you want to draw faces? Is that really what you want to do? If not, then screw it, right? Or do you want to teach, or you have to kind of like really it will get easier if you do what brings you joy in that way.
Boy, that is the truth. It'll get easier. It'll be more fun. You'll love it even more. Yeah, feel really blessed to have found that path in life.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Speaking of joy, which we have used a lot, I love joy. I wanted to connect because for our 10th year anniversary for Creative JumpStart, I picked the theme of storyteller, and I send out the theme to all of the artists, and then I don't say much about it, why or what. And I say, here you go, guys. This is your Creative Jumpstart. Do something with it for Creative Jumpstart, right? So I picked it actually because I was thinking how stories are our connective tissue as people, and make us understand and like other people and connect with other people, even if we maybe not have a lot of things in common. And so that was the initial thought. But again, you guys do your thing, and that's why I don't explain that right away. And I thought it would be fun to have a connective tissue in our interviews, and that would be have you guys pick something that brings you joy in your surroundings or in your, in your studio. Can be anything, and tell us maybe a little bit about it.
Okay. So yes, the item I picked for my studio is something. It's a combination of. It brings me joy, and it brings me sadness, and it brings me love, and it brings me hope, and it's this.
Wait, it's blurry because your background is blurry. You have to bring it probably a little bit closer to the... there we go. Aww. Oh, who is this, sweetie?
This is my jazz cat, and he passed away. I'll tell you. Passed away in 2005. And I made this. It's an art quilt, and I made it while he was sick.
Aww.
And it's got so many trillion stitches on it. And I made like the frame is kind of gold, like a masterpiece, which he was, and ornate and stitched. And of course, it's a drawing of him. And I remember, I look at it and I think of him because he was just the best cat in the world. And I know how many hours I spent on it. So it's always hanging in my studio, and it's always, looking over my art table, my little guardian angel. I also have both he and his brother, Cool Baby, have passed away. So I have their little shrines in my studio also. I mean, I'm sounding like more of a cat lady than you are, but they bring, anyway, so that was the piece I chose because it's always been in my studio. I throw things out, I dump things, I put things away, but that has been a kind of a constant. And I love, speaking of hand quilting and art quilts and stitching, I really find a lot of peace in hand stitching. And so part of my storytelling project for Creative Jumpstart will be creating a fabric and hand stitching it. Ooh, you heard it here first. So, because it's a wonderfully meditative activity, that is for sure.
That is such a beautiful quilt that you have of your loved kitty. Oh my God. And I can totally see that also because you spent the time with him while you were doing that.
Yes.
That's so wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jane.
Oh, you're welcome.
Do you feel that you tell a lot of stories in your, whether people can figure them out or if they are obvious or not? Do you feel you're telling a story when you make art?
It's never a conscious. It's not really a conscious decision. I almost daily work in a sketchbook, and so it's a sketchbook. It just stays in the sketchbook. So of course I am telling the story of my days, and I'm illustrating my days. Whether it's, as I said, something I picked up on a walk, or when the farmer's market load comes, the vegetables from there. So it's definitely telling the story of my life, but not overtly in any way. I mean, there are a couple chocolate candy bar wrappers in there and, a cutaway of an ice cream cone. For the most part, they're, kind of generic things that everybody might have. I don't do very much writing in my sketchbooks either. I even though I'm a talker, I figure my art is the one that's, talking for me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not the one who puts the journal into our journal. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I feel the same way. Yeah.
So Jane, that was so interesting and so cool. Can you tell us where we can find you?
Yes, you can find me on, social media. My website is janelafazio.com, and my Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. I've really been making a lot of videos of my sketchbooks lately. So my YouTube channel, Jane LaFazio, has a bunch of those. So yeah, it's pretty easy to. I'm pretty easy to find.
Yeah, check her out, and also please sign up for Creative Jumpstart. And if you see this video on any of Jane's channels, then she will also have a link to Creative Jumpstart. Please use that link because she will earn an affiliate fee for that, which will make everyone happy. So support artists.
Buy more flowers.
Exactly, so she can buy more flowers and and more farmers market boxes too.
That's right.
And girl gotta eat, right?
That's right.
So we are looking forward seeing you, and I can't wait to see Jane's. I know it's going to be awesome because it always is videoed either. Thank you so much, Jane.
Thank you, Natalie. Great to talk to you, as always.